Hi everyone, I'm Pedro Sosa. I'm from Mexico City, and this is my talk about Enrico Martínez, the sixth printer in America and in Mexico City. Uh, the talk is going to be two parts. In two parts, the first part is all the historical information, the context, and the second part is about the revival type, the process of the revival. Well, let's start. Enrico Martinez was a multi-faced celebrated man in the 16th and 17th century in Mexico, in el México novohipano. He was born in Netherlands in the mid of the 16th century. He studied in various European cities. It is believed that it was in Sevilla where he discovered the beautiful art of print. He arrived to Mexico near to the end of the century, where he served as a cosmographer for Felipe II. And what was the task of a cosmographer? He had the task of informing about the new lands and territories that were discovered by the Spanish, the, the the travels and the feats of the arm of the army here in Spain, as well as the geography and stars movement in Mexican territory. Uh, what we will note here is his activity as a printer, as a punch cutter, something that he began doing by chance. Enrico was also a translator of the Inquisition. As I mentioned before, he was a multi-faced man. So, around those years, the end of 16th century, another another printer was prosecuted due to his Lutheran ideas. The other printer was Cornelio Cesar Adrian. He was punished in the Tlatelolco convent, and he had to give up all his printing tools, such as his wooden press that he says that he made himself, and of course his mobile types. Everything came to possession of Enrico, and that's how he established his own print. All well, Cornelio kept printing in Tlatelolco, but could never had a print of his own. He was the last man that worked with all the material from 16th century, with all the printing material uh, from Mexico. Okay, so Enrico opened his print almost at the end of the century in 1599 with a religious print called El Compendio de las Excelencias. Is this? This is the cover of the Compendio de las Excelencias that was written by Fray Juan Bautista, as we can see here. And we can see the colophon that says en la imprenta de Enrico Martínez, intérprete del Santo Oficio de la Inquisición, año de 1599. Well, this is the first print that Enrico made, and is the last print of 16th century in Mexico and in all America. And okay. From Martinez print came a lot of notable works, even if they weren't editorial masterpieces. Keeping in time, in 1606, he prints one of his most memorable works, a book called El Repertorio de los Tiempos is is this El Repertorio de los Tiempos de 1606. It is important because it is believed that for this book he carved a specific typography and some ornaments, and it is important because this is my original material where I revival my project of revival type. It's the original material here. Okay, so after in 1609, Enrico put his print on hold to focus on Mexico City's drain. But his press kept working 2 years after, thanks to his foster son Juan Ruiz. Enrico dies in Christmas in 1632. Well, during his life, he made several typographic fonts, 5 finished and 2 unfinished. The unfinished fonts, one has just the lowercase and the other just some uppercases. He carved also 2 frames that he used like capital letters. I have some example here. Well, just the revival character. I think it's here. It's like this. This character that function. I mean, all this it's a single character, and you can put inside the letter what you want, and you obtain a capital letter. Okay, so he also engraved some ornaments. Well, he never was a master punch cutter, but he did have a high aesthetic sense that allowed him to get better with each typography. This is his mark as print. As we can see, this is a page from El Repertorio de los Tiempos. It's, if you note, it's the same as here. It's a ornamental character that it include my font, the revival. So well, Enrico engraved seven fonts. The three first fonts that are there are here. This is the first, the second, and the third. The only italic that he finished. This this third these third typographies were uh, were were asked for Cornelio Cesar Adrian, the other printing. As I mentioned, Cornelio had the intention of put his own print, to establish his own print, and he asked to Enrico these 3 fonts. As we can see at the end, Enrico kept the fonts because Cornelio was punished, and well, all the material keep to Enrico. So well, just like examples, this is the first font that Enrico made, the second, the third, and the fourth. Well, the fight font was the main one, the first one in his own style. Um, it's about 14 points nowadays. It's used for books in Nahuatl language mainly. And well, let's focus in the process of the revival. This is the some samples from the revival. The first that I made was to look and study Enrico 7 fonts and decide that the 5 font was the best option for the revival, because as I mentioned, is the like the like the main font from Enrico, the 5, and is the only in his own style. So after that, I analyze the material, specifically the repertorio de los tiempos, el repertorio de los tiempos, and I have the chance to see this book, the original book, in the National Library here in Mexico City. It's a beautiful work. It's a beautiful print. Not the best from Enrico, but it's a good job. So I analyzed the book. I request some high quality reproductions and study every character. As we can see, for example, in here, I study, for example, a lot of Cs. All the material, all the material have to be in the same format, because if you change the format, the material, well, the original form could change, no? So when you do a revival, you have to focus just in one original font. I mean, like one original, uh, I mean just one material, not to mix the materials. Okay, so I compare a lot of Cs and, well, each letter, just for put an example. I compare and select a few samples from each letter. And what I do was like tracing this form in almost exactly. But in this point, well, with these first samples, I got a catalog, like here in from each letter, and I start tracing the shapes as best as I could, and I got an initial product, an initial font. But that font was not the best, because the only thing that I do was trace the, well, analyze and trace the shape, the form exactly. But in this point, I realized that a revival is not just to copy the form. A revival involves a lot of other things. For example, like to know the historical context, like to know what happened with that material, with the original material, because if you know all that, all the context, you could analyze and you could understand uh, more intimately the the purpose that the purpose of that font. I mean, like the his original purpose. So, well, um as I mentioned, I had that first product, but it was um the shape were too rigid and didn't have this spirit of the original font. Didn't have yeah, like the spirit, like the soul. So in this point, I decide to reinterpret the shapes, not to trace like literary, more like reinterpret, and to analyze all the other factors, the time that was made, the historical time when the font was made, the some facts that happen for do this specific font. So well, um, like I try to take the essence, like the spirit, and allow myself to correct some mistakes that Enrico had made, in the original font. For example, the serif. If, as you can see, the serif here are very rude, maybe. So I do the serif with a touch of graceful. And for example, another thing was to uniform all the serif, to check the diagonals, to check the weights, um, make the serif more graceful, again, and redraw some characters. For example, the G, we can see here the G. It's like yeah, not a cool G. So the final G, it's another different from the original font, but is but there are the decision that we have to take to in order to have a good revival. Not a revival, I think, is not to, again, not to copy the literary form, but reinterpret the form. Okay, so well, here we have some examples, like it's just for in order to show the examples. Of course, here we have a lot of um, mistakes in the spacing, but well, it's just in order to show the original and the revival. And well, here we have some a comparison between the original font. This is the original, the uppercase, the original the lowercase original, the uppercase original, and some examples. And well, this is here we have the first version. We can see this version very rude with not spirit, and in this other version, the second version, the final version, uh, it's here like this and this. And well, I mean, we are on time, so I just want to show you some specimens. As you can see, I include a lot of ornamental characters. And well, that's all of my part. Here we have my contact if you have some questions. So thank you. See you.